Thank you to my brand new sponsor, the brand new channel, Modern Mystic Ancient Wisdom. They've got lots of videos on there to put on in the background or watch that just give you all kinds of wisdom, Rumi wisdom, Taoist wisdom, Socrates wisdom, and so much more. Become one of their very first subscribers today. Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of November 10, 2024. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a remarkable astrological week, without a doubt. Big moves happening in the sky now. Boy, is it a very special time. And it truly is so special now. Powerful energies are with us. And if ever there was a week when it would feel like the truth made itself very clear in a way that we had to accept, in a way that was a game changer and led to powerful changes in our lives, this really would be it. This week has this sense of clarity and truth and honesty, and in some cases, hard realities written all over it. And it comes right to the surface, wound up within our emotions as well. And a lot of it is because we do have a full moon taking place. It is in the sign of Taurus, but it is hand in hand with Uranus, the planet of revelation and revolution. But hours before the full moon, we have Saturn going direct, which means as we begin this week, Saturn is super powerful in the sky. It is closer to the Earth than it might otherwise be in what astrologers call stationary direct. But the official direct happens hours before the full moon perfects. Both of these planets speak to truth in their own way. With Saturn, it's the reality check moment. It's having to be real with ourselves. With Uranus, it's the truth that is as clear as day in an instant. And I would even say full moons as well represent truth also, but they're a truth that's often emotional. It's like it was there all along. We just hadn't recognized it or weren't ready to admit it to ourselves. Now, whatever truth it is that feels like it's coming forward, I do want to say we do have a beautiful alignment to that full moon from Neptune. So there's a lot of hope mixed in. But what we also get is a supremely harmonious alignment with Pluto. And I find this incredibly encouraging. And that's because if you think back to last week and even the week before, I've been talking to you about Pluto opposite Mars, right? And how intense a vibration that was and how it spoke to our understanding of the many ways Scorpion energy can come forward, with the ancient ruling planet of Scorpio, Mars, standing across the sky from the modern ruling planet of Scorpio, Pluto. Regardless of your sign, in one way or another, there was a spirit of transformation in the air and a redefinition of power, however it is that you uniquely define it. And this was part of the last stand, if you will, these last moments of Pluto at the very end of the sign of Capricorn. It is going to be next week that Pluto will leave Capricorn, not to return again in our lifetimes. It'll be over 200 years before we as humanity welcome Pluto back into Capricorn. I love the fact that the last important alignment that Pluto is going to make is to this full moon, and it is a supremely harmonious one. And that suggests that whatever's transpiring, the transformative quality, the empowered quality of the truth finds its way forward. And this is almost the perfect preparation for once it is that we do more fully enter the age of Aquarius. Now, the age of Aquarius, this is something I've been talking to you about for a while. I know that I'm very passionate about it. And there are videos, of course, on my channel. I'll link to some of them below. I've been speaking for years about how we've been in this time of transition between the age of Pisces and the age of Aquarius, and that this decade and the middle of this decade would be pivotal as part of more fully stepping into that age of Aquarius. My understanding of the age of Aquarius was very influenced by an essay written by Carl Jung called Eon, where he describes his understanding of this very transition. And in this essay, he says that we're thinking of the age of Aquarius as this time of like kumbaya and everybody getting along and harmony around the world. And that could be one part of it, but Aquarius is a sign with a very strong duality to it. It is at once about the collective, but it is also hyper individualistic. It is about these theories of living together, even communally, right? This heightened sense of humanity. But it's also encapsulated by the ideas of Ayn Rand, which is hyper materialistic, hyper individualistic as well. And the hope is that with Aquarian energy, we have permission to find where it is that we are going to be within that spectrum. But regardless, us stepping fully into the age of Aquarius, and Pluto is not energy that comes quietly. It is an intense vibration. And it is this week, though. Just like with last week, it was all about that Scorpion energy being integrated into these changes we're experiencing. This is a week that is about Aquarian energy and our understanding of how we're going to integrate it as we prepare for this brand new beginning right around the corner. Now, just because it's a brand new beginning isn't necessarily meaning that it's going to be as if a light bulb comes on and everything changes, but I think some of that energy is going to be with us this week, certainly because of that full moon and Saturn going forward. This is the ancient ruling planet of Aquarius, Saturn, and the modern ruling planet of Aquarius, Uranus, that are intimately involved at the time of Friday's full moon. And just like with last week, we were deciding where on the spectrum of Scorpio we were going to land. It is this week that we're figuring out where on the spectrum of Aquarian energy that we are going to land. And as much as Aquarius is about gathering together, group movements, and it is about protest as well, it is also, again, hyper individualistic. It's hyper going your own way, doing your own thing, finding your niche, finding people who support that niche. And outside of that, nothing else really matters. And I think we're already starting to see this now. It was last week that the US had a very powerful election take place. A few weeks ago, I was interviewed by Newsweek magazine. That was a really big deal to me. Thank you so much to Newsweek for that sort of moment that felt like such a high to be interviewed by such an iconic publication. And they actually reached out to me. They asked me about the election, and I posted screenshots over on my social media as well. I know some of you have already seen that. But of course, they asked me a lot, and I told them a lot, and then they used a little. That's very normal, no problem there. But I wanted to say that I felt, and as I told Newsweek, that Uranus and Jupiter were going to play a very big role. And both of these planets were playing out in a very dominant way in the charts of both candidates. What I also felt was that Kamala Harris really needed an astrologer, because I know I've told you this as well. I just see this new chapter that the US is about to go into. The inauguration chart has Sun conjunct Pluto conjunct midheaven in Aquarius. Now, whenever the inauguration takes place, the midheaven is in Aquarius and the Sun is in Aquarius as well. It might be off by a few degrees depending on the inauguration, but for Pluto to be there and so close to that conjunction, it is very powerful. It is rare. And that suggests a very transformative chapter having to do with what's taking place in the United States. And I felt that before, when we had Biden and we had Trump, well, I was like, well, both of these are very, very Capricorn, right? They're really embodying the sense of who has the power that's been there. They were both older. They were both very wealthy people. And it just didn't feel like it fit the symbol that was coming up. But then Trump chose a running mate, a tech bro. And I had always felt like, and I know I'd said to you, I'm seeing tech bro energy here. And that's what he ended up choosing as a running mate. And I remember thinking, this just went more in the direction that it's going into, right? That Aquarian energy. And then Kamala Harris was chosen, and she, through her representation, represented another part of Aquarian energy as well. And I thought, okay. But then Kamala Harris kept going Capricorn, and Trump kept going Aquarius. And how did they do that? Well, Trump kept going to alternative media, appealing to people as part of media who were seen as cutting edge, or seen as edgy in ways that some people like and some people don't. And of course, with his running mate. And we had Harris, though, go very Capricorn, relying on people who are really old school, going to the, as they said, the middle, but it wasn't really the middle. It was about expressing something about power and continuing the power and the power structure and maintaining that. And I understand why that would happen, because maybe some people would find the Aquarian side of what she represented too jarring. I think that might have been the fear, but that is not the way in which the winds were going. They were going Aquarian. And Trump found a way to tap into that to his advantage, and he ended up winning. Both Harris and Trump had Uranus strongly playing out in their charts, but Uranus is an energy of extremes. It's all or nothing. And again, some of that, a little bit of that ended up in the article. A lot of it didn't, but it is there and it is documented. Now, having said all of that, in our own journeys, in our personal journeys, because that's what really does interest me. That's what I think calls me that much more. I think once we start talking about politics, it's like people stop listening and our own biases come into play. It's the most human thing ever. We're all human here. But I always did what I do to bring people together. And I actually think that we are very much on a spiritual journey, each and every one of us. And as part of that journey, we might participate in creating pain for ourselves or creating pain for others, but we also participate in the love that we create for ourselves and the love that we create for others. And we get to decide where we're going to land on that right now as a collective, but especially where it is that Aquarian energy is going to fit into that, is part of what's going to come forward now. I'm very encouraged by the face of Aquarian energy that has to do with understanding. It has to do with being willing to see why groups feel the way they do, chose the way that they do or did, but also honoring that we each have our own individual journey as well. I think that's a more encouraging face of this. But of course, there is that more rebellious side. I'm going to invite you to think about the energy of Aquarius and where it lands in the zodiac, right? What season does Aquarius represent? Because that's how we understand the signs. They carry the nature of the season in which they are most dominant. And Aquarian energy in the northern hemisphere represents the middle of winter. It is the dead middle of winter, right? This is late January and most of February. And think about what happened in the dead of winter. Well, there wasn't a whole lot to do, right? You already tended to the farms, like the last bits that were going to come out of the earth, the root vegetables and fruits, if you will. They tend to come out during Scorpio season, even sometimes dipping into Sag season for some of them. But by the time we get to Capricorn, right, we get to the winter solstice, that's what Capricorn represents. We know it's cold, and the first thing that we did collectively is we celebrated, right? That was the winter solstice, traditionally a time of huge celebration among different cultures, and it was a celebration of the bounty, of wealth, of knowing that we were going to be okay. We did the work, and now we can enjoy. And then we get to the dead of winter, which is Aquarian season. There's not a whole lot to do other than be in your own mind, right? Live in your head or talk to other people, communicate with other people. And it's in Aquarius energy that we realize, and all of us have all the energies of all the signs. That's where we realize that it is in the mind that we are truly free. It is in the cultivation of ideas, and the ideas that are going to matter to us, the ideas that we're going to contribute to evolving. That's where true freedom of choice lies. And that might be the only place it really lies. Pluto is not an easy energy. And I want to be very straightforward with that. And we as a collective are going to decide how we are going to manifest and understand Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto can be the dark side, though. Again, being very straightforward with you. But that doesn't mean we have to participate in that for ourselves or for others. I'm going to give you an example. I saw something online a few months back. It was so shocking to me that I ended up talking about it in an interview I did with Pamela Quinn. So that's going to be a factor because she really helped me to understand this that much more. But there was a Instagram account with like 6 million followers, and he posted a video of him talking with a photo up for most of that video. And it was a photo of two young men standing in front of their vehicle. One of them was smoking. They just looked like, just kids, really is what they looked like. And this person, this content creator, basically said, a friend of a friend of a friend told him that these guys were trying to talk to their 15-year-old daughter. That's what it said. These guys really didn't look like they were that much away from 15. But their license plate was very, very readily visible. And to me, I thought that this was shocking. And the guy in the video said, if we have it wrong, I apologize to you guys, but this is really important. So, basically putting these people who might have done absolutely nothing, right? Absolutely nothing, putting them on blast. And when you do that, people suffer, right? Now, sometimes, okay, yes, you're doing something wrong. It's going to be made public. It's not a bad thing to be able to hold people to account, but that's not what this looked like. This looked like two kids. By kids, I mean, 18, 19, maybe 20, and their license plate visible off of nothing more than a friend of a friend of a friend. And I found this so jarring. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And so right after I saw that, I talked to Pamela Quinn in the interview, and I was telling her about this. And she said, that's what Pluto in Aquarius is going to be. It's going to be sacrificing the individual in favor of the collective or for the good of the whole. That might be part of it. I've had conversations about this with Michael Barwick, and he's talked about and it's been said that there could be this idea of like one system, right, all around. And so right now, for example, I love to travel. You show up to a country, they scan your passport, and they can see a lot based on that, right? Sometimes some governments share information with each other. Sometimes they don't. But what happens when it's all shared and it's a lot more detailed than just what country you entered and when you left? Well, we might see some of this as well. And of course, we would see resistance to this as the hyper-individual side of Aquarian energy comes forward. We'll get to decide how much we want to participate in any of it. And so now here we are on Friday under the light of a full moon with Saturn in the sign of Pisces. So Pisces is energy that has to do with compassion. It goes beyond the collective and it's more about a universality. It's about being able to see the oneness in everyone and everything and how we merge with it. But Saturn as a core energy isn't inclined in that direction, right? And so this has been an interesting time of awakening dreams and being more real with ourselves about what might be a fantasy, what might be reality, and the depth of emotion and feeling and how much we're actually willing to give and sacrifice, because Saturn has to do with sacrifice. What is compassionate and what isn't? We are invited to get more real with ourselves and what altruism is going to look like as we desire to contribute compassion in a real way. But the full moon is in Taurus, Uranus is in Taurus, and that is an earth sign that has to do with the economy, that has to do with money and what role that's going to play, if at all. And the fact that Uranus is conjunct this full moon says, emotion, but also this sense of our feelings being on a roller coaster, us wanting security, right? Financial security, economic security can be part of this. And overall, the vibe of the full moon is good news on that front. It is encouraging. But I think it's going to contrast with what does that mean for compassion? What does that mean for the oneness? And how do we balance that with what might be happening in terms of our own individual needs, particularly economic needs, is part of the spirit of this time as well. Now, for each and every sign out there, as part of the monthly horoscopes, I did speak about this very powerful energy. Now, stay tuned to the third part of this horoscope video when I do short horoscopes. I'll be looking at Saturn direct for your sign to remind you of that, to delve into that a little bit more than I did in the monthly horoscopes. Now, I want to be sure to mention a couple of other things, and that is at the beginning of the week on Monday, Venus will change signs, moving into the sign of Capricorn. And this is great for the Capricorns out there. This is a sense of just love arriving, love visiting for that sign. And earth signs in general, the Taurians, the Virgos, will find this placement easy to tap into. For us as a collective, when Venus goes into Capricorn, love and respect become intimately tied. And love alone tends to not be enough. It tends to be the case that we become more interested in exploring or at least understanding where this is going and wanting to have those types of experiences that affirm a sense of heading in the same direction together, having a shared vision that you're willing to work towards together. It's about the long term, and a love that's just momentary or in the moment isn't going to be nearly as appealing to many of us out there. This can also speak to very classical style choices, fashion choices that we start to see displayed around the world, particularly with celebrities now. And on Tuesday, Mercury squares Saturn. Mercury is moving through the sign of Sagittarius, Saturn in Pisces, as I mentioned earlier. We now have Mercury comfortably in shadow. Will go retrograde on the 25th of November, so right around the corner. These are the moments to watch. This is an important moment as part of the larger dance of this Mercury retrograde season. This connection is going to be repeated 2 more times. And when it is repeated, it may hearken to what is taking place right now. So this key characteristic is that reality check moment. And remember, as I was saying, Saturn is at the peak of its power. Whenever it is that a planet is standing still in the sky, it is closer to the Earth than it might otherwise be. It magnifies in importance. And whether it is a conversation, and especially because this is Mercury in Sagittarius, it's going to involve political matters, right? We will be discussing it as a collective and striving to be honest with ourselves about what happened, what we liked, what we didn't, what our hopes are in terms of what's playing out, what's reasonable to expect, what our fears are. That can also stir with a Saturnian square. But for all that, this is great energy for thinking about what you have manifested and what reality you want to contribute to as part of working towards whatever it is that you feel is worth manifesting to you as part of the part you play in the collective. And that's going to be an energy that a lot of us are going to be talking about now. Honest evaluation can go a really long way towards understanding what you believe, what you think is a positive development, what you think is not a positive development related to politics or law or higher education or even immigration and citizenship, right? These are all topics that are very much in the ether that a lot of us are talking about right now. So you can expect that conversation to be ongoing as part of this larger Mercury retrograde season that's going to take us right to the beginning of a new year. What I love about this week for us, there's so much here. It is a powerful and meaningful astrological moment. I'm going to say, well, look, Friday is such a huge day, right? Saturn goes direct. Hours later, a full moon conjunct Uranus is precise. This is a big moment of truth for each of us as part of our individual journeys, but also collectively as well. As it is that certain realities are made that much more clear, we get to be honest with ourselves about the sacrifices we've made to get here, and now being able to see a given circumstance more clearly. And having the ability to be honest with ourselves on a level of emotion and otherwise, we now feel that much more empowered to decide what changes it is we want to work towards next. This is Taurian energy with this full moon, which means that in a real way, we are encouraged to understand what it's going to take to make our practical lives better. Now, how do we bring higher purpose and meaning and inspiration into it is going to be the gift of Saturn. All of us are going to be called in our own ways. And so this represents one of those moments when I think a lot is stirring within a lot of us now, as we are having to look at the truth of certain circumstances or situations. But admitting it is the first step of going deeper to understand the roots of what reality has been so hard to accept in our own lives. But once it is that we're at least able to honestly evaluate how things are, it gives us tremendous power to change and to move our lives in the direction that we desire to go individually and collectively. Well, thank you so much for watching. What do you love about this week? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading you guys, and to prove it to you, here's some of my most recent favorite comments. Thank you to everybody who likes, who comments, who subscribes, who shares, who thumbs up. All of it means so much. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you. And of course, if you want to know how all this wonderful stuff this week speaks to you in your sign, log on to NadiyaShahSuperstars.com, where you get expanded, exclusive video scopes each and every week for each and every sign for as low as just $3 a month with Choose Your Membership rate. Higher tiers get you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the superstar space at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University has some incredible programs underway right now as we speak. And I am so excited about these. It's going to be a jam-packed, super fun November. I'm going to start with Tiffany Harlick's class on cultivating the mystic that you are, magnifying psychic abilities. And that's because Tiffany's class actually starts this coming week. And so if you've been meaning to sign up and you still want to tap into the power of everything that she has to give and teach, and I'll tell you, she is so brilliant. I know you saw that in the interview that I did with her. But yes, you can sign up right now at the price that the class normally costs, which is $35 a class. And that is going to be an incredible beginning of a powerful journey for you that is going to help magnify your own psychic abilities that much more. And you can learn more and sign up for Tiffany's class now at synchronicityuniversity.com. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University presents my class, which started last week, and this is life cycles. Oh, the first class was so great. It was on Jupiter cycles. We looked at the Jupiter return, the trine, the sextile, the square, the opposition, and how it is that each Jupiter return has its own characteristic as well. And so thank you to the amazing group that gathered, everyone who signed up. It's turning out to be such a rewarding experience. And you can download that first class now over at synchronicityuniversity.com. We've got other classes coming up that are going to include Saturn cycles. Just like with Jupiter, the Saturn return, the square, the trine, the sextile, the opposition. We're going to look at that all and what each Saturn cycle represents. We're going to have a class on the Uranus cycle, another on Neptune and Pluto together, and then the CHIRON cycle as well. So there's lots of classes to look forward to. You can learn more and sign up now for classes with me at synchronicityuniversity.com. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University presents the one and only JANÉT Jones with advanced astrological techniques to take your practice to the next level, to a higher level, by helping you to understand the power and nuances of Decans and Duads. So here we are. We've got this incredible course. It's underway, and you can download the first class, join us for future classes as well. To take with JANÉT, you saw how brilliant she is over on my YouTube channel, and I just think that she's one of the best out there. I've enjoyed watching her on YouTube for years. So glad she's teaching a full course with us now on advanced techniques in astrology. Learn more and sign up now at synchronicityuniversity.com. Links are in the description below. Synchronicity University has an absolutely incredible speaker series underway right now. And we have a haunting theme, a Scorpio theme playing out. It's all about magnifying your mystical energies. Let's look at the classes that have already happened, the classes that are coming up. If it's already happened, well, you can download it now. If it's coming up, you can join us live or just wait. You get the recording if you sign up for a class. Mark McGowan, reality TV star. Mark McGowan is just so wonderful to work with. He is a celebrity medium, and his class was how to be a medium. So he helped you to tap into that energy. Natalia Maria is all about Odin and how that helps us to understand Pluto transits. My dear friend, Michael Barwick, is teaching on gemstones and astrological magic and how to tap into the power of stones to your benefit as part of more effective rituals and practice for you. Bear River is back, and he's going to be teaching on astrological magic as well, looking at the ancestors and the stars. And my dear friend, Ursula Stockter, is looking at tarot symbolism, especially in light of Renaissance wisdom. So you can see here, we've got incredible speakers. The speaker series is on right now. It is in full effect at synchronicityuniversity.com. Learn more. Sign up now. Individual classes are on sale. Links are in the description below. And thank you. Thank you so much for this moment with you. Thank you for your trust. I'm so grateful for it. And I just want to send everybody a massive hug. I know different emotions being expressed around the world, including in my DMs and on my Facebook and everything. And just know that I'm always, always hoping for the best for all of us, and that we may each get more adamant, more powerful in our commitment to greater love and greater wisdom. And I truly do believe that all of us have a part to play in that. And whatever part that is for you, my wish, my hope is that you tap into that power now. And thank you for seeing me as some part of your sacred journey. So we're going to have short horoscopes coming up now. Be on the lookout for that. And thank you again. It'll be a great week. Enjoy. Friday, November 15, Saturn goes direct in the sign of Pisces just hours before a powerful, clarifying full moon taking place in the sign of Taurus. That full moon is hand in hand with Uranus and Saturn as well going forward. All of this says there are big light bulb moments, but also moments of hard truths that a lot of us are dealing with. There's a sense now of needing to accept some reality, especially where it comes to Saturn. And whatever truth is revealed, it isn't necessarily comfortable, but it is necessary. It helps us to evaluate where we actually are, what we've actually manifested, and if the sacrifices we've made are worth it, and are they worth continuing to make them. Now, you can't really understand Saturn going direct without also contemplating the fact that we have a full moon happening hand in hand with that. And so a lot of emotion is stirring. The full moon with Uranus is a surprise a minute, a shock a minute, a feeling a minute that changes dramatically the next. But Saturn is a lot more about what's steady and sure and calm. And that's what we're going to be invited to move ourselves towards more and more. In the sign of Pisces, Saturn says, get honest about what is a dream, what is a fantasy, and what dreams you can make real. We have dreams for a reason, but it's not always what we think it is. Well, whatever that might be, in some way, we are having a wake-up call of sorts, evaluating the sacrifices we've made, if they were worth it, and where it is we desire to go next. Collectively and personally, we're looking at the dreams that we've had, what we've actually manifested, how we feel about it all collectively and individually, and where is it are we going to go from here to manifest something that feels more ideal, that aligns with soul. And what is it that compassion actually asks from us, whether that's compassion for others or towards ourselves? What does it look like in a tangible and real way? We are invited now to be more honest with ourselves in that regard. What we're willing to give and do for the sake of compassion, and what it is that maybe we're no longer willing to do. Where it is that we've extended ourselves way too far and given and it's not appreciated, well, that might be a moment of truth that changes everything, especially our own attitude and our own behavior, aligning it instead with what Saturn is understood in its highest sense, which is self-respect. It is by grounding our dreams and deciding what we're willing to work for that we earn our self-respect for ourselves. Saturn is also considered a very karmic planet in terms of you reap what you sow. And so we get honest about what we have actually reaped and what we have actually sown. Now, for some, that karma might feel like it shakes us and is a huge game changer, but for others, it might just be acceptance that finds us, which is actually a great gift. There's another reason that Saturn going direct right now is such a big deal, because as Saturn moves forward, he's going to march forward into a new year, and then in May is going to leave the sign of Pisces just briefly for a little bit of a taste of the energy of Aries before retrograding back on September 1st. And then it's going to be in a new year, Valentine's Day 2026, that Saturn will leave the sign of Pisces, not to return for well over 2 decades. And of course, I'll be here to talk about it every step of the way. Now, what this means for you in your sign is going to depend on your sun, moon, and rising. You want to take all 3 into consideration and then synthesize the information to make it unique for you. And of course, I did speak about Saturn going direct and the full moon energy and so much more for you and your sign in the monthly horoscopes over on my YouTube channel and in the superstar space at thefutureismagical.com. Aries, soul, psyche, and spirit. So much is going to be stirring within you now. I think it's going to feel mighty restless within. It's okay if you can't necessarily get to sleep, but just watch the tendency that could be here that feels a little depressive. I'm sorry to say, whatever it is that you do to practice self-care, make sure you step it up right about now. That just might be the divine lesson strengthening you for the pathway forward. And that forward is really right around the corner. You are about to start a brand new chapter next year once Saturn enters your sign. Taurus, friendships, group alliances, you are about to get very honest with yourself about how you feel about another person, but also whom it is that they are and whom they are to you. And your answers might not be what you expect. The reality check just might be realizing how complicated a situation is, how really the best of intentions have always been there, the part that you've played in a particular dynamic, or it really just could be your realization that a certain friendship really is not for you and your pathway going forward. If you are involved in professional group dynamics, there is going to be a shift or change of power or responsibility, or you just might be looking at whether or not it's worth the sacrifices being asked for. Gemini, career, social standing, life purpose. It is illuminated for you now. The sacrifices you've made, if they've been worth it, are they continuing to be worth it or not? Now, for some Geminis, this is going to be a time when it starts to feel like your efforts are paying off. You're gaining traction. And you feel that much more deeply committed to the path that you're on. But there is going to be a percentage of Geminis who realize that this really isn't it. Being honest with yourself means being honest that you're on the wrong path for you. And that is a powerful step towards the realization of what it is that the right path just might be. Cancer, long distance travel, immigration, citizenship, higher learning, and legal matters. If you are in a process of going back and forth in one of these areas, well, this is where it can feel that either things finally move forward or they solidify or they dissolve. Whatever happens, it is fair. There is not windfall energy here. But for all that, we also have you getting more honest about what you believe about the world and the experiences you desire to have to help connect you to more of the world. This is about making a plan, being realistic. Ultimately can have you making waves, making moves to know more and be more than you've been before. Leo, transformation, regeneration, and wealth. Now, if you're involved in a transformative journey, psychological or physical, this is where you get honest about whether or not the rewards are there, if your approach is right, if the sacrifices are worth it, as part of refining your way forward or even going another way. For all that, this part of the sky does have to do with access to resources. So there's strong financial energy here, especially where it comes to things like loans, credits, scholarships, and tax returns and benefits you qualify for. It's these large chunks of money that you might be trying to access now. There will be some jumping through hoops and needing to prove things to have it come together, but energy like this says that what is for you is going to be for you, and what you need is absolutely there. You're engaging powerful spiritual lessons along the way. Virgo, partnerships and love. This is where you're getting really honest about who another person is to you, where you are in love, and how you feel about it, even if it's hard. You're engaging some really powerful spiritual lessons while understanding yourself in relation to another. If you're in the right relationship, it can grow stronger now. But if it's not the right relationship, at least you'll be honest with yourself about that. And if it is that you're open to new love, well, someone new that you do meet now could have real potential for lasting long term. Libra, clients, customers, coworkers, immediate supervisors, they might hold you to task or ask you to get honest. And part of that honesty might be how you feel about them, how you interact with them, what part you play in it. But it's also possible that you're getting honest about where you're in a work environment or doing work that just isn't resonating with you or isn't right for you anymore. Your answers are going to be uniquely your own. Now, where it comes to health, if there has been an ongoing health related matter, this could be where you finally find an answer and you're able to incorporate something into your daily life to move towards a steady sense of greater well-being, whether that's through a medication or some action that you can take consistently to help you to feel better. Scorpio, romance, flirtation, what love is for you in every area of life, not just romantically, but beyond. Now, if it is that you are engaged in this energy from that perspective of romantic love, well, you're getting very honest with yourself about where you are and if you feel that your needs in love are being met or not, and you're finding a way to align with it or move towards it. It's not the type of energy that suits gambling of any kind. However, a strategic play could have you feeling like a winner. Sagittarius, buying, selling, moving, attracting a new roommate, your living situation highlighted here. And you're getting very honest about what that might require if you're looking to make change. Your family of origin might be highlighted with the desire to spend more time there. And this also has to do with reconciling with your past, making peace with it in some way and in a real way at this time. Capricorn, siblings, cousins, neighbors, your local neighborhood environment, running around doing your errands. These are the types of people and spaces where some reality check is set to take place. It could be that one of these people is making choices and you are realizing the extent of your power or lack of it. If it is that you're involved in a learning journey that involves taking workshops or skill building endeavors, well, this is where you get to evaluate how useful this will be to you and whether or not it's worth continuing to do. Aquarius, self-love, self-esteem, money you earn, money you spend, all of that is covered here. Now, for some, this is going to be doing the work that self-love sometimes requires and understanding it as a skill. Outside of that, and in financial matters, you're getting honest with yourself about what's worth doing to earn money, but also what's worth spending your money on and what isn't. There could be a sense that there's some larger gain you're hoping to make, and the sacrifices you're making now might delay gratification, but the gratification is there. It's like you can see it. But for others, where there has been waste or where you've sacrificed too much, well, you're about to see that more clearly. Getting honest with yourself ultimately plants you in a direction of feeling that much more prosperous in the fullness of time. Pisces, identity, priorities, what matters to you most and first. You are about to get very honest with yourself in regards to these matters. It is seeing yourself honestly, very starkly, and deciding if it works for you or it doesn't. Once you know who you are not, it becomes that much more evident who you are and whom it is that you desire to become. This can be a serious time, so make sure you are practicing self-care very diligently, but also know that this is about you taking ownership for your happiness, knowing that it is in your hands, it is within, and there are real things you can do to maximize it today. Thank you again for watching. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.